What are you the 1% of? I was born with a cardiac rhythm disorder. Normal heart rate for a newborn is like 130 per minute, mine was like 30. I heard from my mother my case was so rare that several cardiologists from all over the country ditched their conferences to fly to the hospital I was in and to see how to fit a pacemaker into a newborn. I'm imagining a Morpheus is fighting Neo. Moment countrywide with cardiologists. My case was so rare that several cardiologists from all over the country ditched their conferences to fly to the hospital I was in and to see how to fit a pacemaker into a newborn. At least they were having fun, D. Not that I've looked it up, but I've run over a fish in my car. Whenever I tell the story, no one has heard anything like it. I drive a BMW and always use my turn signal, even pulling out of my driveway. Dude. If you are gonna lie, at least make it something believable. I have AB blood, which is found in less than 1% of the population. Came here for this. My sister and I both have AB, plus, she is a blue-eyed red-haired girl which makes her even more unique. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2008 pole vault. When I was 8 to 11, I had the second highest score in the world. That has most likely changed. Got my wisdom teeth pulled. One side grew back over a year from a fragment left. Dentist published an article about it and was so happy. I was not with another oral surgery. I think it's like 0.1 to 0.5% of women or something, but I have a double uterus. Medically called a didelphys uterus. A septum separates my uterus, which kinda made them form into two separate ones, and the septum continues down into the vagina, so I also have a left and right side. Not fun to deal with, but I'm too scared to get the surgery for it. Triple nipple over here. 0.5% I believe. So you tell me everyone I meet has a 0.5% chance to have 3 nipples? Gotta go hunting. My wife has 4. She wins. I was in the first 1% to watch What Does the Fox Say? On YouTube. YouTube sent me an email telling me so. Ooh, that was Gangnam Style for me. I saw it with like 3K views. Similar for me. I was aware of Crab Rave within the hour that it was first released. I used to be a huge Monster Cat fan / follower, so to me it was just a clever April Fool's joke. Was flabbergasted when it became a meme sensation. I felt like a first mover on something for once in my life. I guess I'm in the 1% of only having 3 lower front teeth. Me too. I had no idea this was a thing. I just thought I was one weirdo. Did yours move to the center? Do your dentists also play a guessing game to figure out which one is missing? I'm so fascinated. When Spotify released listening statistics at the end of 2020, I was on the top 1% of Weird Al Yankovic listeners. Seeing this reminds me of this guy I dated 10 years ago. He came over for a family dinner at my cabin and asked if he could play dinner music. We always had classical music playing when we had dinner there, and so my family said sure, why not? And he played Weird Al Yankovic for the whole dinner. At one point my grandpa just went, "What the fuck are we listening to?" Me and my 11-year-old son tag teamed a Hazard Level 5 mission on Deep Rock Galactic, which was meant for a 4-man crew. We beat it from beginning to end in one shot and got an award for it, saying that only 65% of players have beaten Hazard 5 from beginning to end. I have small intestinal cancer. The type is the same as colon cancer. But where it's located is less than 1% of worldwide diagnosis per year. But I've signed papers for 11 different oncologists to be able to access my records to see what works, what doesn't, etc., because they just don't get enough examples of it. Kind of hit or miss on procedures to work with, which treatments first, which type of chemo, etc. I've also said that if it ever reaches a point where I'm terminal and common treatments just don't work anymore, I'm willing to go all guinea pig. Depending on exactly where it is, because of the veins coming off of your mesenteric artery to feed the small intestine, it usually isn't operable. So you are strictly on chemo and radiation. If the heavy levels don't do it, then you get to go on low dose chemo daily for however long it works. Then it eventually dose T. Currently, according to my last PET scan, the tumors have disappeared. They won't say remission, just that it seems to be dormant right now. I'll take it. I had an ear infection travel up what would have been an otherwise asymptomatic formation of my skull called arachnoid granulation until it finally reached my cranial cavity. It took a literal team of the best doctors, ENT surgeon, neurologist, multiple neuroradiologists, from Northwestern University Hospital and the University of Pennsylvania to first diagnose me and then treat me. I was absurdly lucky to have a friend of the family who was a doctor who was able to call in a favor to get the entire neuroradiology team at UPenn studying my numerous CTs and MRIs. The head of neuroradiology at UPenn told him I have the most unique looking skull he's ever seen. Talk about damning with faint praise. When they finally had a diagnosis, my ENT pulled my skull CT scan up and said, "Do you see that white spot? That's fluid. That's infection, it shouldn't be there. You're very lucky you haven't contracted meningitis, this had been happening for 10 years, undiagnosed. And do you see this black space here? That's air. That should absolutely not be there. Do you ever fly?" I responded yes, all the time, for work, for concerts, regularly, once a month or more. "Well, you absolutely can't fly until this is fixed. Every time you've flown in the last 10 years and the cabin pressurized, that air could have expanded and shifted your brain off of midline and you'd have been dead immediately, without knowing anything." They removed an L-shaped infected portion of my skull about 2 inches by 6 inches and replaced it with a titanium mesh plate after sewing the tear in my ear canal shut. It resolved the problem and I haven't had any issues since. I can now fly. Went to the optometrist recently and he said I have a uniquely shaped right cornea and said I was in the 1%. Did tests for a degenerative disease that I couldn't remember, but I'm in the clear. Some Latin sounding disease. Cornos blah blah. The doctor said most people generally have half a portion of astigmatism in their eyes, my right eye has 5 portions. Not sure if it's the 1% or not, but no, it's very rare. Womb twisted itself back to front when I was pregnant. Fetus should really not have been viable, but she's now a very energetic and beautiful 20-month-old. They were going to induce me early because the twist, that we didn't know about at this point, was causing me so much pain. Thankfully a nurse felt something was strange with my cervix, ordered another scan. Cut to emergency C-section. Surgeon had no idea what he was looking at when he opened me up, consultant called in. No one in the hospital had ever seen anything like it, they took photos, every nurse said they wanted to see them. We were lucky, the consultant said that afterwards she had done some research and only found a handful of records and the outcome of the surgery was not good. At least one of us shouldn't be here. If I had been induced I would have died in incredible pain, unable to deliver, and baby would have probably died from stress. We are now a case study and have changed the way that hospital responds to pain in pregnancy. I had a life-threatening reaction to a common prescription drug. It literally caused huge patches of my skin to fall off and my internal organs to begin liquefying. This reaction is so rare that they don't even have to list it as a potential side effect. 6 cases have occurred with over 10 million people taking this drug. I don't like to name the drug because the problem was with my body, not the medicine itself. I don't want to scare people away from a life-saving drug that isn't to blame for what happened. I'm fully recovered now, by the way. I'm part of the 1% of people being ambidextrous. Damn, it must be nice to not live with one arm and one golf club's useless waste of space. Not me, but my husband. He has a brain tumor on the pituitary gland. Before treatment his body pumped out pregnancy hormones, so he was hormonal and moody AF for ages. Just before it got really bad we managed to get pregnant. When our baby was born his chest had that let-down sensation new moms feel, a heavy-weighted feeling in your boobs. When our baby cried, his boobs started leaking breast milk same time mine did. He actually had to pump milk out to ease the pain in his chest. He got the treatment he needed and he no longer can squirt breast milk at me if I piss him off. I figured I have to be in the top 1% of deaf guitar players worldwide. I heard completely fine for like 25 years and spent 19 years of that to practice guitar playing. Been legally deaf for 3 years now and still can play well, muscle memory. I kinda wanna start a band called Deaf Metal or something.